Okay, so we're back. I so far in the previous lecture talked about this first page of the syllabus, your text and so on. So now I wanted to go to the second page of the syllabus and talk about these course requirements, and mostly I wanted to talk about the weekly modules. Your first course requirement is actually the syllabus quiz, which you'll find in the section of our classroom. If you click on modules over here in the left-hand navigation menu, mine's thinking. You know, I've tried this classroom in every browser available. Like I said, I haven't done Opera or Safari, so I guess I can't say every one. But what I find is that, you know, it's slow depending on what else is going on during the day. It's not really a browser-based issue. It isn't the case that I thought Google Chrome would work better because I was told that Canvas is managed by Google, but I think Instructure just has a deal with Google. So I thought Chrome would work better, but it really doesn't. It all has its quirks and foibles. Probably the biggest quirks and foibles have to do with if you're working on a Mac. So if you're working from a Mac, you're going to have some struggles. But hopefully you can overcome them, because people who use Macs oftentimes are used to struggles. So I guess it's good for you. So in our course modules, you'll find that there's one labeled Start Here. And this is where you should begin when you first enter the classroom. This is stuff to kind of get you oriented. You have a place to post your autobiography. There's a syllabus quiz, and then here's my advice for how to do well on the quizzes. I get these questions all the time. Why am I struggling so hard on the quizzes? Why are they so hard? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to give you this document right from the very beginning that has my advice for how to do well, and I'll talk about that more later. But the syllabus quiz is your first assessment, and this will give you a little practice with how to take assessments, things like that. Now, I'm the teacher, so things look different for me than it will be for you. But when you go in to take the quiz, there's some instructions at the top and things. But when you go to take the quiz, just like all the quizzes that you're going to take in class, okay, first off, I've had some students look over here on this right-hand side and think, oh, good, there's only 10 items. You've got to notice there's their own little slide bar that actually will reveal all the questions. This slide bar will also show you all the questions in their natural environment. So don't think to yourself, oh good, there's only 10 questions. Teacher said there was going to be 25 on this quiz, but there's only 10, so I guess teacher was wrong. No, there's whatever I told you there was going to be will always be on the assessments. Prepare yourself properly to make sure you have proper time and so on to take quizzes. Don't rely on this and think, oh awesome, I can just relax. So for the syllabus quiz, you'll see that all of these questions can be answered off of your syllabus. The one I wanted to point out, there's two questions where, and I can't remember what numbers I made them this quarter, so hold on, scrolling. There are two questions where you get to pick more than one right answer, and you can tell that that's an option. Canvas makes it a bit of a secret. It doesn't automatically let you know that you can pick multiples. On the ones where only one answer is correct, you have a circle as your radio button. When there's multiple answers available, it's a square. So for two questions, you'll notice that the answers are square, and then I typed in mark all correct answers to make sure that you know that those are multiple correct answer questions. The point of this syllabus quiz is to familiarize you with the syllabus. If you get an item wrong, I really don't want to hear about, you know, well, my question tricked you or whatever. I just want you to get the information. Okay, these questions are I mean, this syllabus quiz altogether is not worth a significant amount of your points in the class. I think it's 2% of your overall class points. And the questions are all valid, and the questions are all correctly answered out of the quiz, out of the syllabus. So what I really want you to do is learn what my requirements for the class are. That's the point of this exercise. So make sure you're learning what I'm intending to teach you through that exercise. So if you get a question wrong, as soon as you hit submit, it'll give you the automatic feedback telling you which ones you missed and providing the correct answer for you. Okay, so that's what you're going to do, and it's due on Saturday after the class officially begins. So in this case, that'll be on Saturday the 28th. Class doesn't officially begin until Thursday the 25th. We are currently in week 0 if you're logging in before the 25th. Okay, so weekly modules. Every week you will have a quiz to complete, and you will choose a task to complete. I call it a pick a task because I couldn't think of any better way to describe that. You get to pick one of these two tasks. Let's start with the quizzes because they're just easier to describe. So each week you'll have a quiz that's going to cover whatever material has occurred since the last quiz. They will all be multiple choice. They will all have 25 items. Each item is worth each item is worth a point, so each quiz altogether is worth 25 points. So good, regular, consistent, everything's always the same. I've already posted all of the quizzes into the classroom. There are a couple of ways that you can access things in this classroom. I'd really like to encourage you to use the modules button. That way you always are doing whatever is due during that week. You always know, even if it's not something that needs to be submitted through a Dropbox or an assessment, you always know what's due and what you're working on. So I've organized it. I've got to start here. This is week 0. Then I start with the weeks. Week 1. Down here, you'll notice that there's a printable version of the quiz, and then there's the actual quiz. You'll notice that for all 10 weeks, I've already posted all of the printable quizzes, all of the quizzes. So you can go in to school if you want, where you have access to printing. You can do it at home, whatever you have access to. Open those printable quizzes and print them. I've loaded them as RTF files, so you should be able to open this kind of file from any computer, and then just go ahead and print them. Okay, now this is a preview window. So by clicking on that quiz, it took me to this preview window. You actually are not able to print this window. What you have to do instead is click this hyperlink version. And you'll notice in the preview window it looks nice and neat. Actually, it's got weird indentations. That's actually weird. Number 1 is, but see, I'm in Explorer, so I get an alarm message down here. Security scan, la-di-da. Okay, so then it opens, in my case, up in Word. It'll open in Works. It'll open in whatever you have. Mine shows the little blue tables that keep it organized. But when you print it, those little blue tables won't show up. Each printable quiz has the 25 items. It's only 2 pages. My printer automatically does front-back printing, so I only waste 1 piece of paper printing each quiz. So you'll have, 10 quizzes to print this way. Unfortunately, my header doesn't appear on here, so you'll have to write out the top of it, this is quiz 1 after you print it. This is quiz 2, so you don't get them confused. So each week I've posted the printable quiz, and then I've printed the actual quiz so that you can use the printable quiz to study from. It's an open book intention. The purpose of these quizzes is to keep you reading. It's really easy in an online class to sort of fall behind a little bit, and then next thing you know, you're 3 weeks behind and you're going to have to drop the class. If you have to keep up every week with a quiz, the goal is to keep you moving so that you don't end up 3 weeks behind without knowing it. So let's go ahead to prepare for the quiz first and then come back up here to how to do it. So to prepare for the quiz, first print it, and then as you're reading the assigned chapters in the text, you should be coming across the answers to the questions in order. I've presented the questions in the order that they appear in the text. So you should be encountering them as you read. Now, having said that, please remember to read that document that I pointed out that's in the Start Here module, which still we haven't gotten back to our modules for some reason. That document that tells you how to do your best on quizzes will tell you about how to read the textbooks so that you can figure out what the answer to the quizzes are. They are not necessarily all definitional questions that are easily going to jump out at you from the page. That's why these Discovering Psychology videos are so useful, because he'll say it in a different way that might make the answer to the question more clear. And then also I have provided for you PowerPoint lectures that are me lecturing on the topics. So that's another way to engage with the material and possibly find the answers to the questions. And then finally, I encourage you to go to the publisher's website and do the chapter quizzes. Practice with the flashcards. Engage with the material so you can do your best on the quizzes and then ultimately on the midterms. So each quiz, I said that they'd be available no later than midnight on Thursday before they're due, but I actually went ahead and posted them all now. So they're all there. Everything's available. So you have plenty of time to study. You can take them early if you want. You are not bound. The only thing that you're bound by is the due date. You can do anything early. You can't do stuff late. Anytime that the quiz is available, you can log into it and take the test. I already went over the printable version. I recommend that you actually print it and then mark the answers as you come across them. Once you have them all marked, open the quiz, enter all your answers, save it, and submit it. Once you hit enter, you can't reopen it. It's a one-shot deal on these quizzes. And once the deadline has passed at 11:59 p.m. on the due date, you will not be able to enter the quiz again. If you're in the middle of taking the quiz and 11:59 passes, anything that you click on after that time will not be recorded by the system. You may think you're still taking the quiz, but you're not still taking the quiz. Only those things that are completed before 11:59 p.m. And that's 11:59 p.m. Canvas time, not 11:59 p.m. your computer time or your cell phone's time or anything like that. It's 11:59, whatever Canvas thinks is 11:59. So the warning is that you need to get in early and do your work ahead of time. Don't be on the computer at 11:58 and the thing is Canvas thought it was 11:59 2 minutes ago. So get in there and do it early. Every Thursday I will come back into the classroom and release the quiz feedback. Quizzes are due on Wednesday night by 11:59 p.m. I will release the quiz feedback the next day, so you'll be able to see which ones you missed. Now, making up missed quizzes is very rare. I have some dire circumstances under the exams section, so if you're curious about making up a quiz, you can read about it down there. Also, I'll talk about it in my lecture about the exams. Okay, and then the other thing that's in the weekly modules are the pick a tasks. Okay, now this is a little confusing, but I hopefully think you'll like it in the long run, because I know that, you know, historically I've been teaching online since 1998. And historically, we have required students to participate in a discussion because we felt like we would make you feel more integrated into the classroom and like you weren't alone and things like that. But I started getting very mechanical answers to discussions. You know, students were really, you could tell, just phoning it in. They did not really want to be doing this, and they were just doing the minimums to get the points. So I got to thinking, I did some reading on this topic. I've been doing some research on online learning and you know, actual data collection and things. And what I've come to conclude is that there are some students who love discussions and really get engaged and really want to talk to their classmates. And then there are other students who just want to get the work done and move on. So I tried to make this pick a task serve the needs of both kinds of students. Hopefully you're both going to still learn from the experience, and both of you will have your needs met from the experience. So you're only required to complete one of these tasks each week. You can alternate. You know, if you do a psych sim one week and then decide, wow, I really like the content that we're studying this week, I want to talk about it with my classmates, you are more than welcome to do the discussion the next week. You're not locked into picking one or the other. You can alternate. You can do whatever you want. The pick a task is worth 10 points, and the initial submission, regardless of which task you pick, is going to be due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And there are absolutely, no matter what, any makeups on pick a tasks. You have to do them before their deadlines. So the more popular I've discovered of the two tasks is the Psych Sim tutorials. So I listed it first. You'll find these at the publisher's website. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and launch the publisher's website just to get us started. I think I just clicked on the right button. Whoops, there we go. Okay. We'll get that to launch. And so when you get to the publisher's website, you'll find a link called Psych Sim Tutorials, and you'll select one that's appropriate for that week's assignments. What I did in the classroom, let's see if those modules have launched yet. No, I got a whole problem in this whole classroom's messed up. Let's get that to relaunch altogether. This is what happens sometimes in Canvas. You know, you're working and then suddenly it just doesn't want to do what you're doing anymore. It just doesn't do it. So you just refresh and try again. It's just what it does. So here I am at the publisher's website. You don't even have to log in. You can just go ahead, go right down here to Psych Sim Tutorials. Notice there's also these worksheets and quizzes. Don't look at those. You want to do Psych Sim Tutorials. These are interactive activities that will teach you something about psychology in more detail. So let's go ahead and pretend like you've decided for week 1, where you get to select any one of these topics from chapters 1 or 2, which is what we're covering in week 1. I'm just going to pick Psychology's Timeline because it has a really cool interactive component to it. So you come in and there's some reading to do, and you know, it's written by somebody different from our author, so it's a slightly different voice. Again, another way of learning the same basic stuff, and then it also expands on some things that you've already read in the textbook. Now, it won't let you hit next until you type something into this box. It wants to know, can you think of any famous psychologists from psychology's history? So let's name your teacher. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Oh, that's not going to be covered in today's tutorial. That's too bad. Okay, well, that's all right. So let's go to next. And then it talks about some of the same stuff that's in the textbook, but it's from a slightly different angle. Okay, so we read that. Yes, Darwin and Helmholtz, very interesting. Moving on. Okay, so now we're going to do an interactive component. And it won't let you move past till you've done the correct dragging of stuff to the right place. So up here, you're going to put the names up here, and then what they're famous for, you'll drag from down here. So I don't remember which one goes in what hole. I'm going to say Aristotle must go there. Oh, see? It's one of those two. Oh, it won't go into either one. Keep dragging. Keep dragging. Ah! No! Right? See, it's kind of fun. It's almost like a game. And I happen to know that he's an empiricist. I knew he was a Greek philosopher, but anyway, so you have to keep doing those things. And you just keep proceeding through next, and there are things, you know, different interactive things that you'll do. Sometimes you type something into a box, sometimes you drag things, sometimes there's a little animation to watch, different kinds of things. All right, when you get done, you will know you're done when you come to this page that has a place for you to type in. This is kind of small. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Where's my zoom? Here it is. Okay, so when you're done, you'll come to this page. I happen to do the one called What's Wrong with This Study on this little demo, where you can enter your first name and last name. So you'll put your first name, your last name, and then you can leave the instructor's email information blank because you're not emailing it to me. That's for people who are using a different system that the publisher provides. You won't be emailing it to me. Instead, what you're going to do is take a screenshot of this page that has your name filled in, and I can see which psych sim you did, and I see your name here, and you're going to take a screenshot. In case you've never done a screenshot before, because you want to do a screenshot. You don't want to copy and paste. That's not going to work. You want to actually take a picture of the screen, and it'll end up looking like this with, you know, your whole browser there, which, by the way, as a psychologist, I do enjoy looking at your tabs to see what else you have open. People have the funniest things open. I've had students who have had like Victoria's Secret as another tab that they've got like crazy things, and it's like, what are you doing while you're doing your homework? Anyway, so you'll take a literal screenshot. If you've never done that, I've got a link here for you to takeascreenshot.org. It automatically launches with the PC instructions open. There's a tab at the top where you can click it over to do instructions for a Mac or for other scenarios. And then you want to save the file as either a JPEG, a GIF, a doc, or a docx. Those are the only file types that the system will accept. So if you don't know how to save it as that, figure it out. It's not hard to change the file type, but you need to, if you follow the instructions on this takeascreenshot.org, it'll automatically save it as a JPEG. If you follow the instructions and then instead of pasting it into Paint, you paste it into Word, it'll automatically save it as doc or docx. So usually, without any effort, you end up with exactly what you want. Okay, so that's Psych Sims. You do your activity, you take a screenshot of that final page, and then you post it. Well, I just noticed a little gap in my instruction. Oh no, here it is. You attach it as a submission to the Psych Sim Dropbox. So I'm going to go here to week 1, which is the week 1. You'll see week 1 discussion. You'll see week 1 under this header, pick a task, where it just says week 1. That's the Psych Sim. So you'll click on that. I just realized it's not going to look right. I got to go into student view. So So I was taking a class online over the summer, and I always, normally when I run into these problems and I wasn't really prepared, I'll start recording over again and waste all my time that I just invested on this recording. And then I discovered other people don't do that. They just leave their errors in. So I've got a new attitude. I'm going to leave the errors in. You know, you guys can watch me fumble around, because you know what? Sometimes you're fumbling around and you're like, wait, it works so smoothly for the instructor. Well, it doesn't always work smoothly for me either. So sometimes it's a good thing to see some errors happening. So see, I clicked on modules again. It dragged its feet. Okay, but now I'm back. I'm in student view. I'm under week 1 pick a task, and I'm going to do the psych sim. So I click on that. Wait for it. All right, now from the student view, you'll notice there's this button that says submit assignment. And at the top, I always say choose any one of the psych sim tutorials from, and then I remind you what chapters we're doing, and I give you the direct link. So I try and help you. So click the submit assignment. I'm in file upload automatically. So now you just browse in your computer to find whatever your assignment is. So I would, you know, pick a file and go ahead and attach it, and it needs to be JPEG, GIF, doc, or docx. Now this comments button is a place where you could write additional comments to me. I really am begging you, please don't type anything in those comments boxes. It comes to my inbox, and I always think that it's a fresh email rather than just an addendum that you put on your project or your psych sim. Please, 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 please don't comment in those comment boxes. Just leave that blank and hit submit assignment. That's all you need to do. So that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. I know I'm going fast, and if this is your first time in Canvas, you might be thinking, whoa. But I did describe it to you verbally in the syllabus, so hopefully that'll help you in the long run to figure it out. It's hard to mess it up. It really, Canvas kind of forces you to do it the way that you need to do it, so it's kind of hard to mess it up. Okay, so the pick a task is either psych sim or participate in the discussion. And each week's module under that pick a task header, you'll find a discussion forum, and if you want to, you can post a discussion topic there. Now, like I said, when I used to do required discussions, I noticed people were sort of phoning it in, and part of that I thought might be because maybe the things I was asking questions about to prompt the discussion were not inherently interesting to the students. So I've been test marketing this idea of you can talk about anything you find interesting. I mean, there are so many things in the readings, the videos, my lectures that might pique your curiosity and make you want to talk about it with your classmates. Whatever you're finding interesting, and then say why. You know what really caught my interest this week was the discussion on neurotransmitters. You know, I see those commercials for antidepressants, and they talk about how it'll bring your serotonin back in check, and you know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing is perfect for a discussion. Oh, this reminds me of my brother who was addicted to heroin, and you know what I mean? It's these kinds of things that are the kinds of things that you might enjoy discussing rather than what I think you should be discussing. So your first post, again, we're going to say a slight negativity about Canvas in the sense that if you're going to make a discussion post, they no longer, like Angel used to have a subject header line where you could type what it was going to be about, and then a person could click on that and then see what the rest of the posting is. That's not quite how it works in Canvas. Now it's just a discussion area, and you just make your reply here. And that's how your initial posting will be made, is by a reply to the general discussion area. So look for this reply button that's under the discussion 1 header. If somebody else has already made a posting, don't accidentally reply to it as your discussion in your topic. Reply to the general discussion. Once somebody has made a posting and you're going back to make your comments, that's when you make a reply to somebody else's post. And to do that, you open their posting, and then under that, you'll see another one of those reply boxes. So by Sunday night at 11:59, you need to post your initial comment, your initial insight, your link to a video clip that's related to the topic, or a cartoon that you found, or something like that, a news story or something like that. That needs to be posted by 11:59 on Sunday. That will give time to everybody else who's participating in the discussion to re-enter the discussion forum Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday and make comments. The earlier you get in and make comments, the more likely it is to actually become a discussion. So if you make a comment, then the initial author might reply to your comment, and then you might comment back, and wow, that's what we call a discussion, right? So just saying I agree or something is not going to probably foster a conversation. But if you say something like, yeah, you know what, I never thought about it like that, or you know what, I saw something else that was sort of related, or something that contradicted it. Those are perfectly good things to say as replies so that you can start having a conversation. So you need to make your post, your initial post, by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And then you need to make at least 2 comments about either other people's posts or other people's comments about your post by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. So on Thursday is when I will go in and look to see who said what and who has commented and stuff like that. I try not to participate in the discussion unless you guys unless I see something going on that's wrong, because I find that I am the discussion squelcher. When I get in there and I make something, no one ever comments again. It's like, man, I ruin everything. So I try and stay out of the discussion because I want you guys to be sort of bouncing off of each other. Okay, so that's the weekly reliable set of requirements. You have your weekly quiz that's due no later than 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday nights. Then you have your pick a task that's due by 11:59 p.m. Either the psych sim screenshot needs to be posted to the assignments tool, or your initial post to the discussion forum needs to be made by 11:59 p.m. The discussion has that follow-up component of the 2 comments by Wednesday at 11:59. So hopefully between the 2 pick a tasks you can find something that you find inspiring and that works for you. The key thing you may be noticing is I'm really a big stickler on deadlines. So things lock you out. The psych sim will lock you out at 11:59. The discussion won't lock you out because otherwise nobody could comment. But the psych sim will lock you out at 11:59 p.m. So I'm really big on get it in before the deadline. It is a deadline in this class. Okay, well that's enough on the weekly modules. My next video will talk about the projects and the exams.